Hey guys, TGKS Productions. So this video is going to be centered around the latest legendary bounty that was added into RDR Online this past Tuesday. It was Sergio Vincenza. I apologize for being a little bit later on this than I wanted to. I was just busy with a lot of other things in both real life and just with the overall, TGKS Productions. So I was trying to work some things out, but I'm basically going through the method that I took going about this. The method I use actually worked for pretty much all 5 difficulties, which is nice. I really didn't have to change it up. But anyways, I'm going to let you guys check this out. If you want to read the bounty poster, you can go ahead and do so. It's up to you. You can skip ahead, whatever you want to do. I'm going to let you guys go through the cutscene, and then I'll get into sort of the method that I took to basically complete this bounty, Victor Vincenza.
Goddamn anarchist. Sergio Vincenza. He ain't even American either. Did you know he was gonna kill the governor if they didn't find him out? And who can guess how many minds he poisoned talking that collectivist nonsense? Stopping this loudmouth is what the law was made for. Ain't gonna be easy though. I heard he's bedded in deep with a bunch of these zealots. Oh, and he's a former military sharpshooter too.
My brother, liberty will be shackled at all cost. That is how government works. I used to use this rifle to fight for them, but now it is turned the other way. Whatever happens, we must be strong, amigo.
Alright guys, so right off the bat here, you're going to see me going through my weapons and sort of my tonics. Going into this, I recommend having something like a bolt-action rifle, a pump shotgun, semi-auto shotgun. Like I said with the last bounty, I always like having the volcanic pistol. Even though the fire rate's pretty slow, it does a decent amount of damage. I also recommend having the reinforced lasso as well as the bolas. Those two things are also going to prove very beneficial. Make sure your tonics are also set up in your weapon wheel. Make sure you have health tonics ready. Make sure you have snake oil tonics ready. Make sure you really don't need to worry about your horse tonics in this case, and I'll explain that. But basically, make sure your tonics are set up. That's going to come in handy later. You're going to see that. But basically, I'm showing you here the area that they basically surround. This bounty area, or the border of basically where Vincenza's guards are, in a sense. Basically, that oval area that I was sort of circling or going around is sort of the border of where they're at, and then basically what I just pinpointed is where you're going to want to first go. So you're going to see me travel over there, and I'll skip ahead and I'll show you basically what you want to do right after that. Alright, so see here, I'm coming up to the point that I basically first pinpointed. Once you get up here, you basically want to, and the reason why I said you really don't need to worry about your horse tonics is because if you have the bounty wagon, you're going to want to use that. Basically, you want to make your horse flee here and call the bounty wagon in if you have it. That's why I sort of said you don't really need to worry about your horse tonics if you're using that. I recommend the bounty wagon just because you're going to have, on difficulty 4 and 5, you have multiple targets. It's not just going to be Victor Vincenza. You're also going to have 2 of the guys that are sort of in his group as well that you're going to have to capture. So that's why I sort of recommend the bounty wagon. Obviously, it's going to be safer too to transport them in the bounty wagon as well. So I do recommend getting that. Like I said, it's going to keep them safer, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to transport them. You're not going to have to keep going back and forth to get each target. Now, basically from here, you're going to end up seeing here, I'm going to pause my map, and I'm going to pinpoint this structure sort of south of the targets, or below the targets in a sense. And that structure there is where you're going to want to go. Now, you don't want to try to take you don't want to take the path that it's basically trying to get you to go. If you try to go straight up that path, you're going to run into so many guys. Do not do that. You just want to basically go straight up this hill from where I'm at. So basically where you first go, once you get the bounty wagon, you just cut straight up this hill. Going up this hill, you're not going to run into any guys. There are no guys along this area. You will eventually see as I get up here in a second, there's going to be basically a tent to your left that's going to have 3 guys, and there's going to be sort of a tree stand to your right that's going to have 1 guy. The guy in the tree stand, he's either going to be actually in the tree stand or just sort of patrolling the area around the tree stand. What I recommend is obviously just taking the bounty wagon up around there and then stopping, and then you're going to want to deal with these 2 guys, or these sets of guys on your left and right. Now, you see here, I do recommend taking a tonic before you go into this too, obviously, just in case you end up screwing up here and you don't take out one of the guys to your left and right. You want to make sure that, because they're going to have rifles, so if you start getting hit, you're going to lose a lot of health. So I do recommend taking pretty much the strongest tonic if you have a miracle tonic or whatnot, take that, or a really strong health tonic. You'll see here, just to sort of quickly take out these 3 guys to the left, I just threw dynamite in, ended up blowing all of them up, didn't have to deal with them. These guys will take a lot of hits, so I do recommend if you have dynamite, just use that, get rid of them. Like I said, I don't recommend going in stealth just because it's going to be a lot harder. You're probably not going to be able to complete it, and the fact that you don't want to be stuck out in the open with sharpshooters as well. I did go around this map a lot, and I had a lot of time finding another really good spot to basically do this, but as you'll see here, I'm running up to the structure here. You saw to my left there was sort of logs stacked. Basically, what you want to do is you want to get behind this sort of log cabin here. You want to basically just take out, these enemies. Sort of, shorten the numbers, and then, once you sort of cut down the numbers a bit, you'll eventually want to move up. And like I said, eventually, what you'll see me do is, after I take out a number of guys here, I'll sort of move to my left, and I'll get behind those stacked logs, and I'll just slowly move up from that point. Occasionally, you might have 1 to 2 guys try to rush you. That's about it. I've never had more than 1 to 2 guys sort of rush up on me. So you're pretty much safe here. One thing you'll see me checking here is I'm checking the map. Be careful. You want to make sure you're careful who you're shooting at, because Sergio Vincenza, he'll stay up in the tower for the most part. He may come down. I believe one time he did, but for the most part he stays up there. But the other targets, a lot of times the other 2 targets, they will come down. So be careful who you're shooting at. If you have to keep checking the map, I did accidentally end up killing one of the targets, basically trying to shoot these other enemies. So make sure you're careful who you're shooting at, because obviously if you kill an enemy, you're going to be getting less. You can still complete the mission, but you obviously want to be careful who you're shooting at. So you'll see here real quick, I just want to say, after I took out a number of guys on that right side or behind that log cabin, I sort of moved behind these logs here, and then there's basically a number of piles of logs that are basically sort of just working their way up the hill. You can just basically work your way up the hill too. Just basically take these piles of logs as cover and take out the rest of the enemies. Like I said, just keep in mind that you're careful that you don't take out the bounty targets while you're doing this. Now see here, this is after I moved up a little bit, but this is sort of where the bullets come into handy, because once you take out, you know, a lot of these enemies that are protecting the targets or fighting with the targets, I use the bullets to sort of take them down in a sense, to be able to lasso them or hog tie them. You'll see here I hit one of them with the bullets, so that, you know, that obviously makes the capturing a little bit easier. You don't have to sort of run up on them completely and tackle them. You can do that too, but you might be more out in the open if you do that. Sort of here you'll see after I use the bullets on them, I just sort of lassoed them real quick and then dragged them back a little bit more behind cover just so I wouldn't get sniped. But basically you can do that. That's sort of why I like having the bullets in that sense. So it makes capturing the targets a little bit easier. So you'll see here I basically, I believe I actually ended up knocking this target out, which is okay too. If you knock them out, they're likely not going to wake up by the time the bounty mission is over, so you don't even have to lasso them at that point. I don't even believe you're able to lasso them, so that's okay too. Like I said, it's always going to still count as an alive target, even with the knockout. So you'll see here after I took this target out, like I said, unfortunately I did accidentally kill one of them when I was taking out the other enemies, but you'll see here I just sort of move up to basically using these objects here, these props, to basically take cover behind. One thing you got to be careful of is the dynamite. Sometimes that will get shot. One time I actually did die from that, unfortunately, but likely you won't die. It's more of a freak thing in a sense, but you have to be careful of that. But you'll see here I'm sort of just moving up here. There is one guy at the bottom of the tower. You want to make sure you take him out real quick. I recommend when you're still sort of in cover. You don't want to be out in the open because you don't want to be getting hit by him and also Sergio Vincenza up in the tower. So take him out real quick. And then basically what you'll want to do is after you take this guy out, I basically just sort of force my way up, as you end up seeing. I do recommend taking a tonic. You'll see me here do that just in case, you know, because I believe he has a Carcana rifle, Sergio Vincenza, so you obviously going to want to have a lot of health for this. You can use the bullets here. I believe I missed my first time, but basically I just use them real quick to try to tackle him. You'll see I don't even know how that missed, to be honest, but it did end up missing there. I guess it hit maybe the top of the stairs. It took another tonic real quick, and then I ended up getting him on the second try, and then basically after that I just sort of went up and hog-tied him from that point. Now another thing you want to keep in mind here is you end up seeing when you do hog-tie him and you pick him up, I believe, you want to be careful because there are going to be a couple targets that come in after, or not targets, but a couple enemies that come in after. What I recommend is picking him up and then dropping him again, because like I said, there are going to be some targets, and it's like I believe 2 to 4 people on horseback to come up. What I recommend doing is, like I said, pick them up, drop them again, take out those few guys, and then pick them back up again, and then basically take them down to the bounty wagon. And the reason why I say it is because you obviously don't want to be carrying him down. You have the potential to get killed, but not only that, he may even get shot while you're carrying him down by these other guys, and obviously you don't want to do that. So you'll see here I recommend taking out these guys here, and after that then you basically want to, you know, after you take these guys out, then you can take them down to the bounty wagon as well as with the other targets. So once you take out sort of those guys that are responding or coming in to try to save Sergio Vincenza, you're going to see as soon as you sort of come out of the watchtower that he's in, there's going to be 2 horses here. At least for me there was 2 horses. I believe all the other difficulty there was also at least 1 or 2 horses here. What I recommend is putting him on the back of, or stowing him on the back of one of those horses, and then just take him down to the bounty wagon. You can also obviously do that for the other 2 targets as well. If you want to, you know, go get them and stow them on horseback, take them to the bounty wagon, you could also just once you come down here with Victor, you could, or I'm sorry, not Victor, Sergio, you could just basically come up with the bounty wagon just to sort of make it easier on yourself, so you're saving time with your trips. But basically, once you pretty much get them all in the back of the wagon, or this bounty wagon, from that point, it's just making sure you safely deliver them, obviously, to the sheriff's office, and I believe it's Ansburg. So there is one more tip I want to go over to basically ensure that you get there and get there alive and the bounty targets alive. Because actually, one of the times I was doing this, I went back down the way I came, which is what you're gonna want to do. But I sort of stayed on that main path to where the guards are, that main border, and they actually ended up shooting my the horse that carries my bounty wagon, or hauls it, and ended up all the bounty wagons. As soon as the horse dies, all the bounties get thrown out of the bounty wagon, and I end up getting surrounded and killed. So obviously you want to try to avoid that at all costs, so that doesn't happen to you. You don't want to get this far into the bounty and then something like that happened. That was, I think, the first time I did difficulty 5. I was almost all the way through it and that happened. It was really ridiculous, but it can happen. So to try to prevent that, like I said, I want to sort of give you a tip of how to sort of go about doing that. So at this point, I have all the targets in the bounty wagon. You'll see here I'm taking a tonic. I do recommend that because you will have some pursuers that will come after you. I'm going to pause the map here. I'm going to show you basically what I was talking about earlier, that tip I was going to give you. So you'll see here, basically that spot I just pinpointed. If you need to pause the video or whatnot, look at that. Go ahead, that's important. I recommend going a little bit further down to that point. And the reason why I say that is because when you're taking out the enemies near, or when you're trying to capture the bounty targets, not all the enemies are going to rush up to that point. You're still going to have other enemies sort of in that oval area or around that border area that I was talking about earlier in the video. So if you stay along that border, you do run the risk of getting hit by other enemies. Like I said, when my first attempt at difficulty 5, you even saw I showed it there again. My first attempt at difficulty 5, I did sort of stay on that border, and what ended up happening is basically some of the guys that were still left actually killed my horse hauling my bounty wagon, and all the bounties fell out and I ended up getting surrounded and killed. So you don't want that to happen. I also want to emphasize here, I talked about this earlier, you'll see right here, or right around here, I started getting hit pretty hard. This is sort of why I recommend having those tonics. You'll see, because I quickly go into my interaction, or not the interaction, thinking of GTA a little bit, but the basically the weapon wheel, you'll see how quickly I pulled out that health tonic, or that miracle tonic, whatever it was. The reason why that's important is because, like, if you have to go in your satchel and get that, I may have died right there, because I was getting close to death. If I would have gotten shot 1 or 2 more times, I may have died. And obviously, it would really suck this far into the bounty if you get killed. So that's always why I emphasize having those tonics set up in the items list of your weapon wheel, so that you were able to quickly get those out or apply those to your character just in case you need them. Like I said, it's going to be way faster than having, or going in your satchel and getting them. So at this point, I'm right outside Ansburg. I'm coming to the sheriff's office. At this point, the pursuers will pretty much stop pursuing you, so you're pretty much safe at this point. One more thing I want to go over real quick is the totals that I sort of got for the Bounty Hunter XP, the regular XP, and the amount of money and gold I also got through all 5 difficulties. I sort of want to go over the totals of that real quick right after I deliver these guys.
Boy, howdy, they's cold as a wagon tire, all right.
Alright, so if we were to tally all these up, the total amount of cash you would get would be $518.26. Total amount of gold would be 1.84 gold bars. Total amount of player XP 5,387, and total rule XP 6,714. Not too bad. I mean, it's a little bit less than last week's. I believe I got a little bit more money in gold. However, what's odd is I got more player XP as well as rule XP this week. I was looking back at last week's totals. The reason why I might have got a little bit less money in gold is because I did accidentally kill one target on both difficulty 4 and 5, so it might have affected a little bit. I still think I would have got a little bit less money though, but it might have affected a little bit more than I realized. But overall, that's not too bad. Like I said, I always recommend doing these legendary bounties. They're fairly profitable. You know, if you're trying to rank up in the bounty roll, you'll easily level up 2 or 3 times, maybe even 4 times. So, like I said, definitely do these, these legendary bounties that come each week. But anyways, guys, overall, I apologize for the length of the video. I'm trying to cut these down a little bit more without trying to cut out, important information for these bounties. But I do apologize for the length of the video. But in the long run, I hope you find it beneficial. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, guys, have a great day.